All right, and we back. Gonna talk a little bit about the NFL. Gonna do a mock draft, and the reason for this mock draft is that I actually saw Ashton Janty write the letter comparing himself to Saquon Barkley, to NFL GMs, and I thought it was awesome. Big Ashton Janty guy. I thought he should have won the Heisman, but again, Travis Hunter was obviously great. But yeah, listen, I think Ashton is a stud, and I think he's gonna go much higher than people realize. And you know what? I'm gonna make a proclamation. He's gonna go somewhere you might not have seen. At number one, obviously, I think it's going to be Cam Ward. The Titans need a quarterback. Will Levis, objectively, is probably not the answer. As much as it would be cool to see Shedeur Sanders in Tennessee, Cam Ward, if you've seen his Fortnite highlights or his Fortnite stream, he's talking very highly about the Tennessee Titans and their skilled position players. I think he's a stud. I think it's a very obvious choice here. At two, I think Cleveland takes Travis Hunter, right? I don't think Cleveland, from all the reports that I'm seeing, they're not in love with Shedeur Sanders. Obviously, Cam Ward's not going to fall to them. I think Cam Ward is definitively the number one. At this point, you might as well take the guy who's going to give your offense and your defense a jolt. I think Travis Hunter would be a great fit in Cleveland. And if I'm Cleveland, I'm ecstatic with him. At three, I think the Giants go Abdul Carter, right? I don't think the Giants are particularly in love with Shedeur Sanders. I also don't know why you would sign Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston if you were trying to get a quarterback this year, because those two aren't necessarily mentors. Might as well up your pass rush. Go get Abdul Carter. They've won Super Bowls in the past by having an elite defense and an elite pass rush. And I think Abdul Carter, again, the best pass rusher in this class, would be a great fit in New York. At four, I think the Patriots go with Will Campbell. They used a lot of their salary cap to fill up a bunch of spots, but they really don't have the best offensive line. Having Will Campbell to protect Drake May's blindside would be huge. And at the end of the day, I think Will Campbell's probably I had Will Campbell as the best offensive lineman in this draft at the start of the season, was really high on him. And I think if you're New England, you're ecstatic here. At five for Jacksonville, I think they take Mason Graham. If you're Jacksonville, you're taking whoever falls in your lap here at five. You just take best player available. You don't need a quarterback. If teams are looking to trade up and you can get a haul to trade down a little bit and still potentially get your guy, I think you would. But Mason Graham, I think, is a top three guy just in terms of raw talent. He's an interior game wrecker. He's going to complement what Jacksonville already has extremely well. And I think Mason Graham would be great in Jacksonville. At six, I'm going to do a trade here. I think the Raiders trade down and the Saints trade up to six. Obviously, Derek Carr dealing with a shoulder injury. I think they send this year's 9th pick and a 3rd-round pick or something else, as well as maybe something next year to the Raiders for the 6th pick, right? You could hope Shedeur Sanders falls to Steven Hine, but there's no point. Go get the guy. Go get your guy. Go get a quarterback. You don't have anybody. This team needs an injection of youth, and I think Shedeur Sanders would be great. They haven't selected a first-round quarterback since Archie Manning in literally almost 55 years ago. So Sanders, I think he'd be a good fit in New Orleans, and you might as well fucking make a trade. For the Jets, you have Justin Fields, so you might as well protect him. I think you go left tackle with Armand Membo. I'm not the biggest Armand Membo guy, but not because of his talent, because he's a fucking Missouri guy. And listen, if you're going to be a run-heavy team, if you're going to be a pass-heavy team, you need a high-level offensive line. Armand Membo would fit excellently in New York. At 8 for Carolina, I think you go Jalen Walker, right? You're really missing a high-level pass rusher. He is more of a tweener, but listen, he has natural instincts. He blows up a lot of plays, and I think he would be a great fit for Carolina. At 9, the Raiders, they traded back for this pick. I think they go Will Johnson. If I'm the Raiders and Will Johnson's sitting there at 9, I'm ecstatic. To me, he's the best cover corner, pure cornerback in the country and in this draft. He dealt with turf toe hamstring, dealt with a number of soft tissue injuries, but just they're not long-term concerns. He's a 2-time All-American for a reason. He plays like Devon Witherspoon. Pete Carroll coached him up in Seattle. Excuse me. And I think if I'm the Raiders and he's sitting here at 9, I'm ecstatic. At 10, the Chicago Bears, it's time. The aforementioned Ashton Janey coming off the board. If I'm the Bears and Ashton Janey sitting here, I'm fucking ecstatic. Easily the best running back in the country. Easily the best running back in the class. Again, this is a guy that I legitimately think should win the Heisman. And this offense is nearly complete, right? You have Caleb. You have Rome Odunze and DJ Moore. They already had Cole Kmet. You bring in Joe Thuney, Drew Dahlman, and Jonah Jackson this offseason. And on top of it, this is a team, they bring in Ben Johnson, the new head coach. You know what the first move was that Ben Johnson did, or one of the first things that happened with Ben Johnson once he was in Detroit? They got rid of DeAndre Swift. JT, obviously a bell cow running back, 3-down skill set. He's got high-level vision, patience. He's got a quick slash running style. He can cut very well. Listen, play action is going to be deadly. He can catch the ball. If I'm the Bears and Ashton Janey's at 10, I am ecstatic. At 11, I think the Niners go Tyler Warren. Here's why. George Kittle, 32 on the last year of his contract. He would learn a lot from George Kittle. And that's not to say George Kittle is washed, but 32 for a tight end, you are nearing the end of his days. He would learn a lot. He's a dynamic player in his own right. He'll learn a lot from George Kittle. And Deebo Samuel is already gone, so you can manufacture some 12 package personnel looks. I think Tyler Warren would be a great fit. I don't think you're using this play as like you don't expect him to be the best player next year, but you're hoping that he can be the best tight end in the league 3, years from now for 10 years. Dallas at 12, I think you have to get another weapon for Dak. I think you go Tedder McMillan. That allows some breathing room for CeeDee Lamb. That opens up the offense. Last year, you really saw the effects of not having another playmaker opposite of CeeDee Lamb, and it really put a strain on this Cowboys offense. Tedder McMillan would be a great piece in Dallas, and I think that's where they go. For Miami, I think they go Malachi Starks. I know Miami just signed some couple older safeties, but you need a guy that can go play safety. Picking a safety this high is pretty risky, especially because a lot of corners can just transition there. But he's one of the best safeties in the draft. The best safety in the draft. Was one of the best safeties in the country, one of the best DBs in the country, and he's one of the best players in this class, regardless of position. He's got man coverage chops to walk down nickel, and obviously Javon Holland is gone. Malachi Starks can come in and play right away. I don't think they're gonna have any drop off. I think he's gonna be awesome in the long term too. If I'm Indy, I'm also going tight end here. I think you did re-sign Mo Alley Cox, but I think you need a high-level tight end. And I think you go with a Mason Graham. That's not his fucking name. I meant Colson Loveland, right, the tight end out of Michigan. I was thinking of Michigan players. He can control the middle of the field. He can make life easier on the starting quarterback. He's the best pure receiving tight end in this class. Moves like a big body wide receiver. Oh, he can run block fine. And I think he has room to grow as a run blocker. And I think, again, outside of Josh Downs, you give Anthony Richardson more easy options here. Atlanta at 15, you have to go edge rusher. You absolutely have to. They were horrible. They haven't had a double-digit sack guy since Vic Beasley in 2016. That should tell you everything you need to know. I think you go Mike Green out of Marshall. Not necessarily a guy I'm particularly high on, but he's got enormous potential as a pass rusher. He's got high-level speed to power. He can win with finesse. And again, if you're Atlanta, you need help in the pass rush. For Arizona, you've spent a lot of years investing in Kyler Murray, Trey McBride, Marvin Harrison. You also have left tackle Paris Johnson, but I think you need another one. I think you go Kelvin Banks, the offensive tackle out of Texas. I'm not entirely sure what position he would play for the Arizona Cardinals. He has the ability to slide inside if he needs to. But listen, they operate a diverse run scheme, and they use their offensive line on the move, whether in zone reads or in pulling stuff. He would be a great fit in Arizona, and that's where I'm going to mock him. At 17, the Cincinnati Bengals just re-upped on Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. You already have Joe Burrow. You have to make sure, especially Joe Burrow, stays upright. I think they're going to go interior offensive line here with Tyler Booker. Tyler Booker was an outstanding offensive lineman at Alabama. In the very early era Indianapolis Colts with Peyton Manning, they did this a lot where they just tried to run up the score and the defense was just able to play from ahead. And I think that's what this Bengals team is going to try to do. I don't necessarily know what else they would do because I don't like a lot of the options for Cincinnati at this point on defense. Maybe you trade down, maybe you try to trade up. But for me, I go Tyler Booker. I just continue to load up on offense. For Seattle, I think you do the same thing, right? Seattle, obviously, you bring in Sam Darnold. You move past DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett, but you still have Jackson Smith and Jigba and Cooper Kupp. I think the Seahawks would have loved to go tight end, but both the prospects that I would have picked in this first round are gone. I think the offensive line is still their biggest issue. I think they go Gray Zabel out of North Dakota State. He can play all 5 positions, and they move probably to his own base run scheme. I think having Zabel, he's a starter level. He's got starter level movement skills, body control, and run blocking prowess. High level footwork, high level skills. He can be a top center or guard from day one, especially on this Seattle Seahawks roster. Damn. And I think he gives you solid value. Tampa, I think you go linebacker. Obviously, Jahad Campbell's the guy here. Who knows if Levante David, how much longer he's going to hold on. He's 35 years old. I think Levante David is the perfect mentor for Jahad Campbell, and Jahad Campbell takes over for him in the long term. Yeah, there is some injury risks. That's why he's kind of slipped. But again, Jahad Campbell in Tampa Bay seems like a match made in heaven. At 20, you have Denver. To me, Denver is in an interesting place. You can continue to build up the defense, who was top 3 in scoring last year, or you can try to address something on offense. The problem with this is I don't necessarily like as many guys on offense for the Denver Broncos. I think they go Shamar Stewart out of Texas A&M. High upside player, very raw, but I think if you're Denver, you have the ability to wait and kind of develop him and kind of unleash his talent in the coming years. And I think if you're Denver, you take a swing for the stars here. I think here at 21, I think the Pittsburgh Steelers go with Derek Harmon out of Oregon. Obviously, need a quarterback, but you kind of anticipate the fact that Aaron Rodgers is going to be the quarterback at least for this upcoming season. So you see how that goes. Just get a quarterback next year if you need it. I think Derek Harmon would be a great fit in this vaunted Steelers defense. Again, Larry Ogunjobi's departure, Cam Hayward's 36. Harmon just kind of feels like a Steelers pick. Again, he could kind of replace Cam Hayward, but you also have TJ Watt, Alex Highsmith, just continuing to add to that position and make sure you're not screwed when Cam Hayward finally starts to slow down. 22, the Chargers, I think they go Walter Nolan here, right? Joey Bosa, Morgan Fox, and Poona Ford all departed. You probably need at least one starter up front, Walter Nolan being that guy. He can defend the run and provide some juice as an interior pass rusher. And again, listen, like Khalil Mack, Tuli Peludu have some abilities to get there, but I think getting Walter Nolan on a 5-year deal as a potential run stopping machine, that's a big piece for LA. At 23, the Green Bay Packers, they have selected twice in the top 15 since 2010. They love to pick upside, and there's nothing better than picking Micah Williams here as an edge rusher. He has been, again, Georgia pass rushers seem to produce, and they seem to translate to the league pretty well. Rashawn Gary worked out. Lucas Van Ness has not. You need other pass rushers. I think Micah Williams is a work in progress, but at the end of the day, he has tremendous upside, high-level athletic traits that you just can't teach. And if he develops in Green Bay, that's going to be a scary duo on the edges. At 24, we finally get QB3. So here's what's going to happen. I think the Cleveland Browns are going to trade into this pick at 24, and I think they send a second and a third this year to Minnesota for the rights to this pick, as well as a pick next year. I think they go Jackson Dart. I'm not sure if I'm enamored with Jackson Dart, but they can't be content with their quarterback room. They only pretty much have Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett. You also have, I don't know if they still have DTR, but this quarterback room is atrocious. Jackson Dart gives them at least a dart on the board to potentially be someone, right? You don't know if he's going to be any good. He's got above average physical traits. He has the ability to grow on offense. He's going to have to learn a completely new scheme, and I don't anticipate him being good, not great next year, but I think he's potentially has the ability to become a long-term starter in Cleveland. At 25, Houston, I think you have to go receiver. And most people are like, why, right? You already have Nico Collins. But outside of that, what do you have? Stephon Diggs, gone. Tank Dell, another devastating leg injury. And Christian Kirk has been a magician doing vanishing acts for large portions of his career. I think the Texans have the ability to take the Texas receiver. He has elite level speed. He can run past defenders if they're not prepared. He's great with yak. He runs his routes well. I think this would be massive for the Texans offense. At 26, the Rams, I think you go another Texas guy. I think you go Jahdae Barron. I'm going to name their entire cornerback room right here. Darius Williams, Ahkello Witherspoon, Darion Kendrick, Kobe Durant, Emmanuel Forbes, and Quentin Lake at nickel. So that's 6 guys, right? Darius Williams is 32. Witherspoon was a practice squad guy until October. Kendrick and Durant have been up and down players. Forbes is a first-round bust, and Lake entered the league as a safety. If you're LA and Jahdae Barron's here, you have to take him. Like, his versatility, communication skills, outstanding play make him the perfect addition. He can come right in right away and help. He's your CB1 immediately, which makes everybody else's life easier. I think that's a great value, and if you're the Rams, you're ecstatic if he's there. For Baltimore, I think you continue to have to upgrade your offensive line, right? You run the ball a lot. You have to keep them more upright. I think you go Jonathan Simmons here out of Ohio State. A former Raven they picked was Jonathan Ogden. He spent his first year at guard, then slid back outside of tackle. Hall of Famer. Now, I'm not saying Josh Simmons is going to be that guy. I said Jonathan Simmons, didn't I? I meant Josh Simmons. I'm so sorry. He had an injury that clouds his projection, but listen, he can sit behind Ronnie Stanley and learn him, or he can start at guard and take over for Stanley like the Laramie Tunsil, Brandon Albert plan. He was dominant this past season before getting hurt. Obviously, the injury is a very big thing, but I think he's going to recover well and he'll project well for Baltimore. For Detroit, you got to get another pass rusher. You absolutely have to. I think you go Nick Skorton out of Texas A&M. Listen, you got to find someone opposite Aiden Hutchinson. Zadarius Smith, they moved on from. I did actually call that trade. They did do it. Josh Paschal, Marcus Davenport remain on the roster, but neither of them are long-term guys. I think Nick Skorton would be a great fit opposite Aiden Hutchinson. And even if he wants to sit behind and develop behind Marcus Davenport, I think that'd be awesome. If you're the Commanders, I think you go safety here, right? Dan Quinn, head coach of the Commanders, has a history of using big, long safeties. Using Jaron Kearse, Jeremy Chin last season. Nick Amenawari, 6'3", 220. That's pretty damn big for a safety. I think he could be the secondary, the centerpiece of the secondary going forward. And he's a young piece. You get him on a cost control deal. Listen, I think Amenawari can fill his shoes admirably, Jeremy Chin's, and I think he has the ability to be a tight end coverage defender and a +1 in the run defense. For Buffalo, I think you go another Michigan Wolverine defender in Kenneth Grant. They need to get bigger and more physical along the front lines. Kenneth Grant, 6'4", 330. He's a space eater, bro. He's an exceptional athlete. He eats up blocks. He resets the line of scrimmage. Anything he does as a pass rusher is just gravy. And there is upside in his game, but listen, they signed Larry Ogunjobi. He's going to miss the first 6 games for NFL PEDs. You also need a long-term replacement for Jaquan Jones. I think Kenneth Grant is awesome here. For Kansas City, I think you go interior defensive line as well. I think you go Tyleik Williams out of Ohio State. Obviously, they needed help at left tackle, but this is not a position you're going to address right here. But they did sign Jalen Moore to a 2-year, $30 million deal. I think Tyleik Williams is a great fit for this Chiefs defense. He was the most disruptive at some points, D lineman amongst the Buckeyes' loaded front. He's going to slide in as their team's new one technique. And Chris Jones isn't going to play forever. He's 31. They did lose Tershawn Wharton in free agency. You know, I think this would help you mitigate the loss of Wharton and a long-term replacement for potentially Chris Jones. And finally, the champs. They can't select a Georgia edge rusher this year, but they can stay in the SEC and take James Pierce out of Tennessee. They take edge rushers every year, And I don't understand why, but fuck it, we're going to give him another one. Pierce entered this season as a #1 overall potential pick. He did not build on his 2023 performance. He did provide significant pressure, but listen, he has the ability, the potential to become a successfully and highly effective pass rusher in the right situation. And you want to talk about a team that churns out high-level pass rushers? It's Howie Roseman and the Philadelphia Eagles. The guy in the second round I think would go pretty high is Jalen Milroe. I think the Giants could take him early in the second round just because they need a quarterback for long-term options, and right now they're short on that. I think he'd be a great piece. You just take a flyer on him. If he projects well, great. If not, then whatever. And I think in the third round for Kansas City, I think if they were able to get Damian Martinez, they have the second pick in the third round because of a trade. I think that'd be great for them, right? You don't know what Pacheco's going to look like next year. Kareem Hunt isn't your long-term option at this point. So Damian Martinez, a bruiser of a back, I think he'd be a great fit in Kansas City. I have a full first and second round mock, but I'm not going to do the full thing. I just wanted to give you guys some names outside of the second or the first round. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Make sure to comment down below. Who do you think your team's going to take? If you enjoyed this, make sure to like and subscribe. And YouTube thinks you're going to like this video. Find out if they're right.